Hello, everyone. Welcome to the season finale for JaaTaa, our weekly episode that we've started, 15 weeks ago now. This is our last one, and you know, it's not. That doesn't mean we're done here. It just means that we're finishing off the JaaTaa segment where we've been covering the world of international cricket every week, amongst three, four of us sometimes. We go into the IPL window in the next week or so, which means there's not going to be a lot of international cricket. There will be some associate cricket and other Bangladesh Test series versus Sri Lanka going on and things of that nature. But all of those will still be covered by us across our platforms. Rakimul Haq and Sabir Hossain Shagor joining me as always. Alvi Islam, as always, nothing unexpected there with his non-appearance here. Boys, first thing first, we've got to discuss is Rishad Hossain's series win. We'll call it that because it's one man who's just come from nowhere and kind of changed the course of that third ODI single-handedly at the end. But we'll start at the top. We'll start with the toss. I wanted to talk about that because this was a day game. Obviously, Bangladesh had made a very critical and important change ahead of this game, but obviously, this was a game where Sri Lanka was batting first. Rakimul, what did you make of the toss, and how do you think that really played out into the result of the game at the end?
It was a day game, so we were talking about it on back in our Facebook Live that we whoever wins the toss is very likely going to bat first.
Yeah,
Uh, I think one of you is echoing. Sorry, I can't tell who.
yeah, I muted him,
Okay, perfect.
of course.
So
Freaking guy
sorry
every
about that.
week. That's
I know,
okay.
again, it's like what they didn't realize again. The one problem Bangladesh that we've seen across all stadiums is even if it's a quote unquote fresh pitch, if
Mhm.
if the ground gets used for a few days, no pitch is fresh and no pitch is safe,
Yeah,
unfortunately. And
yeah,
that's exactly what happened, and that's the consequence of which Sri Lanka had to face.
yeah.
And it didn't go in their favor as expected. Bangladesh spinners came into the play. It was a really good innings from Liange, but other than that, no support from the top order, no support from the middle order, nothing. Just a bit of support from Tikshana. I think it was later down the order.
Yeah.
So overall, it was a good toss for Bangladesh to lose. Sri Lanka should have had a plan with
Yeah.
their decision to bat first, but it seemed like they absolutely did not.
So, because you've mentioned that, Shagor, Pathum Nisanka, Avishka Fernando, the both openers out cheaply. Nisanka could have survived if they had reviewed it. And then Avishka Fernando hit a crisp drive through covers and then out just chasing a wide delivery from Tuskin there. What did you make of the opener's approach, especially because Bangladesh were getting a lot of swing, and Bangladesh Pacers have been up to the mark in the last 6 to 8 months or so. How could they have, I guess, played differently, especially that top four? Because until Asalanka and Lianage came on, like Rakimu said, they didn't really have a plan going for them.
Yeah, I think they tried to be overly aggressive towards the beginning, given that it was a day game and as you say, the bowlers were in on song. They were like bowling good lines and it was swinging a bit as well. So I think they could have taken a bit more time in, getting settled, maybe play some balls like in the middle of the bats and then feel the nature of the pitch and the swing as well. I thought some of their wickets were really soft. If you see the top five wickets, four of them were caught behind to Mushfiqur Rahim.
Yeah,
So that shows they were either not reading the swing properly or, they were just not set enough to play those shots.
yeah,
So, yeah, I think Lianage showed, I think even Charita Salanka, both of them showed how to bat on this pitch given the conditions, like it was a day game. They took their time in the middle. Asalanka is always aggressive, but then Lianage had the perfect template for this pitch, taking his time in the beginning of the partnership with Tikshana, and then,
Yeah,
he played his shots, but when he got set properly.
yeah.
So, yeah, I think they could have had a more circumspect approach,
So he's
especially the
actually
top
had
side.
a good start to his career, you could say,
Yeah, I
especially
would
in
say
ODI
great start.
cricket. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, he was very close to getting 100 in his debut series, but he didn't get that 100. And then, finally coming here and finally getting that 100 was obviously really exceptional from a player who's only played, what, 9 ODIs till now or something like that. Um, Rakimov, Taskin Ahmed, is he back?
But he's
Is
fully back. And it's never a question whether Taskin is back or not, because we've seen these performances from him where he, comes back from injuries, comes back from uncertain times and whatnot. But it's a question of sustainability at this point.
yeah,
Whether we can keep him fit like this until June. That's what matters. It's not that we don't want to play him now. We don't
yeah.
want to rest him and then play him suddenly in June. That's not how it works. We can't just reserve
And
him
now
for the
he's
big
also
tournament.
chosen to not, play Test cricket too.
I think that's
Exactly.
that's the only way
Yeah,
forward now.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I
yeah.
want our best pacer to play tests, but right now it's just not worth it. The way
Yeah,
things are
especially
going.
for his body, the way it, like you mentioned, it keeps breaking down. To prolong his career, his only way forward is to, I guess, commit himself fully to white ball cricket, and hopefully, it is a decision that turns out to be the right decision for him over the next 6, 7, 8 years that he might be able to play international cricket. Um, Shagor, because there are two new balls now in ODI cricket, um, does it really matter who starts that first over, or is it become very, I guess, irrelevant because whoever is bowling that first over from either end, they're getting a brand new ball to start with, no matter what it is. So, what do you make of that? Do you think it would give Tuskin any extra edge to be bowling that first over in the game, or you think the way they've kind of planned out this Shoriful and Tuskin matchup now is the way forward?
Yeah, more than the physical aspect of the game, like the ball being new, I
Yeah,
would say opening the bowling, taking that first over shows, you know, like,
you're the spearhead kind of.
yeah, like how
Yeah,
experienced you are, you're
yeah,
leading the pack. So
yeah,
it's more of a mental aspect, I would say.
yeah,
So basically, you're getting a new ball from either end, so nothing is changing.
yeah.
But the mental aspects. So I would say that experienced bowlers should have the strength of mind to negate that. That, oh, I'm not being
Hmm.
given the new ball, even though I'm more experienced.
Yeah,
Like Shoriful might open the bowling like the first over,
yeah.
but Tuskin is getting the second over anyway. So I don't think they would be too like concerned about that.
Okay. Yeah, no, 100%. I think the way they have kind of managed this Shoriful and Tuskin partnership, and the way it's essentially been a very fruitful partnership for us, given that, Mustafizur Rahman is pretty off color in most days. But Rakimul, what did you make of his contribution in that third ODI, coming in place of Tanzim Hassan Saqib, who, did quite well in the two games that he did play? And yeah, how do you think he slots in going into the rest of 2024? And, we've got a Champions Trophy, what, 11 months from now, actually. Yeah.
We were talking about how this pitch is going to favor the spinners now, and all spin-friendly wickets inevitably favor
Favor
Mustafizur
Mustafizur
Rahman,
Rahman.
the
Yeah.
fast spinner, as
Yeah.
some like to call him.
Yeah.
Anyways, so we know that in these sort of pitches, he's going to be very useful. But the Champions Trophy, it's likely going to take place for one thing, we know Pakistan is hosting it, but maybe it's
Yeah.
going to be co-hosted between Pakistan and the UAE. There
Hmm.
will be a few conditions where he can get that advantage, not everywhere. So
Yeah.
overall, we have to be prepared on whether Mustafizur Rahman is ready to contribute in
Hmm.
any given circumstance, and not just when the pitch favors him, or not just when the conditions suit him.
Yeah.
That is the Mustafizur Rahman we need in the team.
Yeah.
So I don't think the team management is going to think along those lines, because honestly, they like to stick to him,
Yeah.
and this just gives them another excuse, another leeway to stick to him for maybe another months. At least say
Yeah.
that, okay, because we're not going to play any ODI in the near future. So
Yeah. At
they
least
keep him
next
around.
3 4 months, maybe after the World Cup is when we next play our ODIs. So, Shagor, I mentioned before, Rishad Hossain's series win. First ball into the game, replacing Tajul Islam, who was, pretty mediocre in that second ODI. We'll discuss Tajul Islam first because I guess that last episode that we did, um, we didn't cover the second game. So, what did you make of Tajul Islam coming back into the ODI setup? There was a lot of talk about it, especially because of how he went in the BPL, but it just didn't seem like he really fit in that well into modern day ODI cricket.
Yeah, I like to be frank. I feel Tajul, like everyone knows, is more accustomed to playing the red ball game.
Yeah.
So also, I think he doesn't have much variation in his bowling to go through a 50-over game.
Hmm.
Like T20s, maybe he was successful because people are attacking him, and
Yeah.
then there are more chances of picking up a wicket.
Yeah.
But ODIs, people don't attack you as often,
Yeah.
so they judge your bowling and then they milk you. So you might be going at 6 runs per over in your first like 5 6 overs, but
Yeah.
then in the back end they'll hit you out. When they're set, they'll like hit you like it's a T20 game. That's
Right.
where you'll see Taiju's figures are like actually getting worse in the 50-over format. So basically, to summarize, I think Taijul is not doesn't have those variations required to be a regular 50-over player. You'd rather take someone from the domestic side who's playing white ball regularly and picking up
Regularly.
wickets, and yeah, who has more variation than Taijul.
Yeah, I think that Tajul Islam pick was very much influenced by BPL and what happened in the BPL and all the sentiment around it. Rishad Hossain, first ball wicket, can do no wrong. Um, Rakimo, what did you make of him and Miraj's contribution in this game? We've been very critical of Miraj, the bowler. Um, Obviously, sprint friendly wicket, as always. Sprint friendly wicket, he makes a case for himself. We've been critical in other conditions, especially second ODI too. We were critical of him. So, what do you make of Miraj in conditions that do suit him versus conditions that don't suit him, where it seems like his performance falls off drastically in those conditions where he's not able to get purchase of the wicket?
He's, we've spoken about it before. He's either not trying enough, or sometimes he's just trying ridiculous things which
Yeah,
won't work in any ODI for that matter, regardless of
especially
what his
that
position.
landing behind the line too. Yeah,
Again, I don't know what he was thinking with that. But again, the whole point is, the reason we are so critical of Miraj is because a lot of people say that, who are you going to replace him with and whatnot. But
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
whole point. We're
yeah,
critical of Miraj because Bangladesh need Miraj. In ODIs, there is no replacement right now.
yeah,
Even if and when Shakib comes back,
yeah,
there is literally no replacement for Miraj. He has to be there. He has to play every single game, regardless of where we're playing right
yeah,
now. That's how
yeah.
he's slotted in to the whole combination, and we can't make a playing 11 without him right now. And it
Right.
hurts us when he underperforms with either bat or ball. His
Yeah,
role has become so important that it hurts us. So
yeah.
he needs to find a way, and the coaches need to work with him on this aspect.
I just
That's
have
the thing
a
that. Yeah, yeah. No, go on.
I just have a like thing in mind. So if you're saying like let's you know play Miraj in spin bowling, like spin friendly conditions or slower pitches,
Yeah.
what if we have a bowling all rounder, like pace bowling all rounder, like Saifuddin, so, or someone else? Like for now,
In which
Saifuddin comes to
position?
mind because of the T20 Miraj position in
Instead
spinner
of
friendly conditions
or in
instead
seamer
of
friend.
Miraj.
Yeah, but I think the reason they pick him essentially is because he gives that batting cover that Bangladesh has historically always wanted. With Saifuddin, you get a batting cover, but Miraj is a more reliable
Solid,
batting
solid
cover,
better.
right?
Yeah.
He's a more recognized batter. Although in the last 4 months or so, he hasn't really helped his case with that because in situations where we needed him to see the game home, and we'll come to that with the batting Bangladesh did in the second. Rakim, you want to say something?
But I just want to add one thing
Yeah,
to Shakur's point. It's very interesting that now that you mentioned it, let's recall the 2019 World Cup. That's
yeah,
exactly how Saifuddin was being used. Of course, conditions in England weren't spin friendly.
yeah, yeah,
Miraj still was able to play half the matches, but even when he was not, and
yeah,
Saifuddin played every single match, so even when he
yeah.
was not, Saifuddin was just given a bigger share of the batting role, and
Hmm.
his bowling role remains the same.
Yeah,
Because back then, Saifuddin was both A, fit enough to play
yeah,
a 100 over game easily, and at
yeah,
the same time, he was performing well, and his performances completely backed him. Right now, we've only seen Saifuddin perform in the BPL, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because that's just 20 overs. We've
yeah,
seen quite a bit of good performance from him. I want to say in the Dhaka League as well.
yeah.
A bit more here and there, a bit more with the bat, and
Hmm.
we can start to think along those lines of
Of
switching them around a bit.
yes, exactly, and that is the ideal situation you want to be in, where you can select guys on a horses for courses basis, and you don't have to stick to like a formula or a particular 7 8 guys that you pick in every condition no matter what, because like we talked about, some guys pick themselves no matter what the conditions are. So um Rakimo, Rishad was saying, let's talk about it. What, how big of an impact is he having in his pretty short career, where he's played more international cricket now at this point than domestic cricket? But I mean, what have you made of his spell in that third ODI? And especially getting a wicket for his ball. And one thing we were very critical about is he wasn't putting enough revs on the ball. It seems like now he is doing that in this, especially in that third ODI. It seemed like he was putting a lot more into the ball than he's previously done. So yeah, your thoughts on that?
One good thing I like about his bowling is because of his height and everything, he's not scared to give the ball a bit more air.
Yeah,
Something we did not see from Jubair, something we did not see from Biplop.
yeah. They were more flatter,
They
trying
were
to.
flatter, and
Yeah,
it's not a bad thing to try the flatter trajectory. It's just they
yeah,
were always trying the flatter trajectory,
yeah,
and no one told them, no one gave them the nod that okay, go ahead, flight a few deliveries, go for a six or two, it's fine, it's
yeah,
completely fine. And I
yeah,
think the way Hathura speaks about Rishad, I think
yeah.
it's safe to say that Hathura is backing him and he's giving him that message that it's
Right.
okay, go ahead, you're a leg spinner, you're gonna get hit every now and then, that's fine.
Yeah,
You're gonna be expensive, you're still quite raw if we think about it. If we think about Rishad's entire growth,
yeah,
and he still needs time to learn. He's still very uncut in that sense.
yeah,
He's still growing, and that's okay. It's a growing pain we are willing to take because right now, if we think along the lines of okay, there is an ICC tournament here, we can't really risk it. We can't really give new faces a chance. There's going to be an ICC tournament every year from now,
around the corner every year. Yeah,
every
exactly. Yeah,
we
yeah,
can't keep doing this. We
yeah.
can't keep going back and forth. Our domestic structure is not a reliable place to
No.
produce these talents. We have to test them out at the highest level. And that is exactly what we're doing. Rishad looks like a very confident cricketer. He
Yeah,
still looks uncut, but that the best part is he looks very confident. And with the ball, with the bat, I can talk about his amazing innings all day, but what's more impressive for me is right now he looks like a cricketer with the mindset that he wants to perform. No
yeah,
matter what happens, he wants to
mhm,
perform and he wants to show that he belongs here. There's
yeah,
been a lot of talk that he's just not ready for international cricket. He doesn't belong here yet. All
yeah,
he wants to do is show that he belongs here,
yeah.
regardless of whether he does it with the bat, with the ball, with his fielding, whatever it is.
No, 100%. I think for someone like him, who's always been in the talks about playing international cricket, there is always a narrative around Rishad Hossain is in the squad for some domestic team and he's not playing. We saw it in the BPL where he played a few games. He did quite well, but then he just didn't get picked again in the playoffs. And you ask anyone who plays cricket, anyone who's playing at the highest level, they play to play in the playoffs. They play to play in those crucial games, right? Um, so it's really good to see, like you mentioned, that he's someone who's fearless, someone who's confident, and comes with a lot of persona that we've kind of lacked from our players. Shagor, we'll just go back to the second ODI for a second, just tiptoeing around. But second ODI, Bangladesh batted first. Tohid Hridoy 96 got lucky with that drop catch by Husal Mendes. But yeah, I guess what do you make of Hridoy's innings there with the 96, and he found some support with Shomo Sharkar with 68, and Shanto with the 40, but no one else really got going. So yeah, what do you make of that batting performance there?
Yeah. So the most, standout thing for in that innings was how he batted through. Like he did not like. I know he got a chance, but then the
Yeah,
way he batted through, he wanted to stay there till the end
yeah,
because he knew that if he got out, they would collapse in a heap and maybe
yeah,
score like below 200, like much
yeah,
below 200.
yeah,
So that that thing is, I think I have seen that responsibility in Tohid Hridoy before as well. Like he had some good innings in the past for Bangladesh as well as his BPL sides as well. So that, and considering the how young he is, I think it bodes well for the future. And with the ICC tournaments coming up, we might see, the more acclaimed bowling lineups,
yeah,
dismantling our top three early in the game, like maybe in the first 5 overs.
yeah.
And then we need someone new or someone different rather than the usual suspects like Shanto, Mushfiq, Mahmudullah to bail us
Someone else has to stand
out.
up, right?
Yeah, someone has to, step up and take the initiative that, okay, I'll be there till the 50th over.
Yeah,
That's what the coaches will tell you. Like if a wicket falls, doesn't matter how many runs you score, don't give a wicket in the next 5 overs.
yeah,
That's key. So I think that's what Tawhid Juda did very well. And like not saying, like I don't have to say much about his batting in general, like how he bats and stuff, the technicalities. But
yeah,
from a general point of view, the way he handled that situation
yeah.
is what attracted me the most in that innings.
Do,
Rakimul can chip
do,
in with his
do you think
technicalities.
he's a little more too risky at times, especially that third ODI? The way he got caught deep, fine leg, was very much him being too risky and ball catching top edge of the bat. Whereas if he just went, full face, he's played that shot multiple times. He can play that shot eyes closed, but sometimes he's just looking to be too quick on his bat swing and too quick on his wrists that he's mistiming deliveries that should ideally be sailing over the boundary for
Yeah,
six.
he's guilty of giving away wickets to balls that are not wicket taking
Wicket
deliveries.
taking, yeah.
That's one thing he has to work on. I think.
Because he
Yeah,
dragged it from what, ninth stump to like deep
yeah.
fine leg, right?
Sometimes he does play those crazy strokes and gets himself in a tangle and then eventually gets out. So he
Yeah.
has to work on that. Yeah.
Rakimul, he was a little shorter runs in the recent past, here and there. Maybe you could say, giving away his wicket, not really out of form, but out of runs. What do you make of that innings and then the third ODI where he looked like he was doing really well till he kind of just threw it away a little?
The biggest positive, of course, with Rido is again, like we spoke about Rishad, it's the mindset. We're finally
Yeah,
getting a generation of cricketers who seem to be mentally clear on what they
yeah,
want to do
yeah,
once they're set, once they're performing, what goals they're setting for themselves, and
yeah,
that's always good to see. I
yeah,
think going along those lines, as Shagor said, he's finding deliveries to get out too often because you see he has a very good offside game. Sometimes he himself doesn't realize that
yeah,
he tries to drag a lot of deliveries from outside off onto the onside just because he has a very strong bottom hand. I get it. But
yeah,
you have a strong top hand as well. You have
yeah,
good shots of the offside. Try and utilize them more. That's all I could possibly tell him. Other than that, again, one problem with a lot of Bangladeshi cricketers is a lot of subcontinent players in general is they do grow up depending a lot on Their wrist motion, basically. Their
Yeah,
wrist is what they use to
and
generate a lot of their
and
shots.
Shagor will agree with this. It's a fault of that cement wicket, man. I'm telling you. It's you grow up on these cement wickets, and that's what you are always doing. This.
One more batter, Rakimul, guess the batsman who tries to hit everything to the leg side, even though he has a very good offside technique. Bangladesh
Which
team,
country are we talking about? Bangladeshi?
Bangladesh,
Bangladesh.
who
Oh,
tries to hit everything initially to the leg side and sometimes spoons catches.
Liton.
Mr. Litton Das.
Yes.
Mr. Litton Das. Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about
Very
the
important topic.
eventual dropping of Litton Das. We've kind of talked about
Unprecedented.
unprecedented, yeah, unprecedented. But what do you guys make of we said it in our live that it's really healthy to see a chief selector kind of communicating that decision between board to manage, like team management, fans, media, everywhere, so that there is no space for any um, you know speculation or your yellow journalists to make reports out of nothing. But Rakimul, what did you make of finally, I guess, the selection committee's patience running thin after those two very soft dismissals in the first two ODIs?
I think it was important to basically make a statement
Yeah,
that no
no
one can
one's
take their
auto.
national spot for granted.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
yeah,
And the way things have been going for Liton, I think what Lipu possibly pointed out
yeah,
basically shows that Liton's had it's not just about a string of inconsistent performances. It's about not improving anymore, getting too complacent. We
yeah,
cannot allow that. We've come too far to start
yeah,
allowing that
yeah.
again.
And that's laziness creeping in, especially if you've invested in someone for 10 years. There's no space for laziness because they've given everything that they can to give you the opportunities. You can't say that you've not gotten the opportunities. So there's no reason for you to be lazy, especially when you've not established yourself as a player yet. And the records speak for itself, right? Shagor, we get a lot of
But
people
there's just
talk.
one
Yeah,
question I want to throw at Shagor before that.
yeah, yeah,
Dropping him from the squad entirely. This was also a discussion point, a discussion
yeah.
topic at that point. That just dropping him from the squad instead of benching him. Did we really have to do that just to rope Jakir in so that we could have a possible replacement for Mahmudullah in case his injury persists and gets worse? Did we have to do that?
I think that was a. I think Lipu even clarified why Jakir was picked, because he was, and like the selection panel were anticipating if there was a concussion, then he might come in. Eventually, he did come in and might have as well have been concussed himself, sadly.
Being a substitute fielder,
Yeah.
we're
So
laughing, but we really
No,
hope
no,
that
no, no, we,
yeah,
we hope
nothing bad
he gets
happens. And
well soon. Yeah.
yeah,
But I think one relating to that point, I saw Liton was playing in the Dhaka Premier League as well, right?
yeah, and got
Right
out for
after getting
five.
dropped.
Yeah,
Yes. So it might be on a different tangent, but because he was released from the squad, he could play the domestic game.
yeah,
And that's one more opportunity for him to correct whatever deficiencies he has.
yeah. But
So
it
we
seems like
see
he's not.
we see
Yeah,
this kind of droppings or removals from the squad a lot in a country like, say, Australia. They regularly do it so that the players get to play for their states, either it's first class or list A, and
yeah,
then perform and come back. So I think this is a positive sign that Liton has also played the DPL game and he hasn't opted to rest
yeah,
like some
yeah,
Indian
yeah,
batters in the Ranji Trophy.
yeah,
So yeah, that was good to see. And then yeah, Zakir Ali, that was a good thought of bringing him in as a concussion sub. Also, he gets to taste the dressing room and how internationals work. So that was also a good way to
but I
bring
mean,
in
he
his.
already got that experience in T20s.
Yeah, he got that in China, I think. But
No, T20 series.
oh
T20
yeah,
series.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
coming into this squad in the ODI setting,
yeah,
would only bode well for him.
yeah.
Apart from that unfortunate incident.
So a lot of people have said, "Oh, who's your replacement for Liton? Can you think about making a Bangladesh squad without Litton Das. Well, hello there, Mr. Tanjid Hassan Tami. uh, Before the New Zealand series, we talked about it that he played really well in that practice game, didn't play the series at all. Given that he was the incumbent, it was quite confusing to see that he didn't get a chance to play. The incumbent in the New Zealand series, because uh, Tanji didn't play, was Anamul Haq Vijay. He came into this series, didn't play a game until the third ODI. Third ODI, would you say was basically a shootout between Tanzida Santamim and Anamul Haq Vijay on who partners Shommo Sharkar for the near future? And I guess you guys can both chip in on Tanzid Hassan's innings there because it was absolutely breathtaking. And like we talked about Rishad and Hossain and Tohid Hridoy, two very confident and fearless cricketers. Tanzid Hassan also looked very fearless and very confident in his game right out of the bat.
Before Rakimul gets into the more details, I'd just like to say from a general neutral point of view, like if
Yeah,
someone was watching the innings
yeah,
of Anamul Bijoy and Tanzit Tamim,
yeah,
and then you were to ask him, okay, which person caught your eye the most?
yeah,
Just because of his, dashing shots and his bravery,
yeah,
he was taking on the Sri Lankan 140k ballers for
yeah.
fun.
Down the
He
track,
was hitting
down
them
the
for
track.
fun.
Yeah,
So just from that point of view, they would say Tamim. So why I'm saying that is because, as you mentioned, the shootout. If the selectors were to see this game, that who is taking the initiative more,
yeah,
they would pick Tamim. Even
yeah,
though I know Vijay was drafted in and then Tamim was on the sidelines,
yeah,
he came in as a sub, concussion sub.
yeah,
But then he took it with both hands and he showed something that the selectors will keep in their mind.
yeah,
He batted in a different way. So
yeah.
that's what sticks in your mind. It doesn't stick to your mind that, oh, someone has scored a 90 ball 50.
No,
Like Vijay
no.
was on course for if he had thrown on. So Tanjid with that impact knock, I think that will,
And
put him in
especially
the
the
frame.
way the mode of dismissals for Bijoy is just we talk about Litton Das throwing his wicket away. Well, Bijoy is doing the same because he hit a crisp cover drive for four and then basically gave catching practice after that for no reason, which makes no sense. But yeah, Rakimul, go on.
No, about Tamim, his innings was fantastic. I mean, we could question the way he got out, and that had a
Yeah,
touch of Liton Das in it as well.
looked
But
looked a little lazy and tired. Yeah,
he did.
yeah,
But other than that, it was an absolute fantastic innings. And as a fan,
yeah,
thoroughly enjoyed it. One
yeah,
small thing I will say, and I don't want to nitpick on such a good innings, but maybe at times it looked like, you know, one thing Tamim might struggle with is
yeah.
keeping the ball down and looking for gaps in the power play. He's more
Yes,
comfortable going over the top
I
of
was
the
gonna
fielders,
bring that up. Yeah, yeah,
which is
no,
fine, which is
yeah,
fantastic, but it doesn't
yeah,
always work
yeah,
against a better bowling attack. I'm sorry, with respect to Sri Lanka, I'm going to say against a better new ball bowling attack
yeah,
in maybe slightly more challenging conditions or slightly more unfamiliar
Yeah.
conditions, this may
hmm,
not work.
yeah,
Yeah.
And I really hope that he has a strategy or a backup plan just for that. It's okay that if this is his go to plan, and then he
hmm,
needs to have a backup plan because a lot of times we see a lot of our batters, especially the top order batters, have only one plan in mind, only one sense of approach. We've even seen this with
that's
someone
right.
as successful, as accomplished as Tamim Iqbal, even. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't want Tamim
Yeah.
to fall into
Yeah.
that now.
yeah.
So
No,
what
that's
Rakimul is saying is that if
yeah,
Tamim, like Tanjit Tamim, let's say they're facing Australia,
yeah,
and then with the bowling attack they have, the scoring opportunity are less in terms of hitting boundaries. So he might get frustrated and just try for more boundary shots and then give his wicket away instead of looking for those singles and doubles. Yeah, that's one thing. Even after the power play, I think Tamim needs to, like Tanjit Tamim needs to work on his rotation, strike
hmm,
rotation. That's
hmm,
one thing which was lacking in this innings. But yeah, he made it up with his big hitting, but might not work as Rakimul mentioned. So that was a good point.
Like it feels like such a waste of talent when these young lads who are very nimble footed, by the way, they're very quick within the wickets, but just because
yeah,
they don't seem to have the shots to find the gaps and played with soft hands, Hence, they're missing out on these ones and twos. That's just what's disappointing, you know.
And end of the day, it's very very important for our players to understand the importance of rotating the strike, because if you're not in a situation where you're able to access the boundary as easily, or you're able to get those bad deliveries as frequently, you need to be picking gaps and getting runs still, right? You can't just get bogged down and play a release shot and then get out. It just seems foolish, because that might be okay to do in under 19s or under 16s cricket, but it's not acceptable in international cricket. Next point, boys. Before we come to the epic finish there by Rishad Hossain, Mahmudullah Riyad, he's thrown away his wicket 2 games in a row. Cause for concern there, or you're not too worried, or what do you make of it?
Yeah, he got out cheaply in those 2 innings.
Yeah,
But yeah, of course, he should have been, more circumspect and batted like Rida in the second ODI.
yeah,
Like he should have done that in the third ODI, the way he gave his wicket away. But yeah, then again, I don't think it's a big cause for concern
yeah,
given the wickets that we have right now,
yeah,
because I don't think they will base his, value to the team based on just these 2 innings.
yeah.
But yeah, he needs to step up. Otherwise, questions will be asked.
Rakimul, Rishad Hossain walks out to bat. Bangladesh 178 for 6, chasing 237, 236, sorry.
58
And,
needed.
huh?
58 needed, I think, at some
58
point.
needed, 3 wickets in hand. And the Bangladesh cricket team we know could have very easily folded, um, with 16 runs to get. Sri Lanka wins the series by 2-1 and wins the third ODI by 16 runs. Could have happened, but Rishad Hossain enters the scene. Mushfiqur Rahim told him, take it easy, but first ball 6, second ball, Tanvir Ahmed comes clutch, and after that, no looking back. I mean, every shot was off the middle, and every shot had a plan to it, because Hasaranga was bowling him googlies. And the one that he did bowl a leg break, he hit it over the top, middle of the wicket, gone for 4. Give us your insight into that innings.
I mean, it literally took everyone by storm.
Yeah,
I don't know a single Bangladeshi fan that can say that no, we were expecting this. This is exactly what we were looking forward. No, everyone was momentarily silent right there.
yeah,
Like everyone outside the Chattogram crowd, of course,
yeah,
was
yeah,
momentarily silent and momentarily stunned because we had no idea what just happened.
yeah,
And it was again, like we said earlier, it's all about the mindset of Rishad having that confidence, wanting to show that he belongs there,
yeah,
but it's also his sheer ability to bat against spin the way he can and the way he's shown already in both the T20I and in this ODI, that
yeah,
he's not really intimidated by the spinners. He can take them on regardless of whether the conditions support them or not, whether they're changing their line and length around, whether they are someone as highly reputed as one in the Hasaranga.
Hasaranga, yeah,
So overall, it was magnificent to watch, and just want to say that again, I really hope that he also finds a way to work around his approach against Pacers, because that
yes,
will give him a more complete game and he can be this
yeah,
proper number 8 for Bangladesh
yeah,
going forward. A proper number 8 in ODIs, a proper number 8, or who knows, maybe even a number 7 in T20Is very soon. It's
yeah,
just that we need that from him and not just his ability to play spin, which is fantastic. I wouldn't take
yeah,
that away from
yeah,
him for
yeah.
anything.
No, and especially if you're coming in that number 7, number 8 role, you will be facing a lot of pacers at the death, right? So you will need to find ways to score runs against that, 3/4 seam ball, against the Yorker, against a bouncer, all those different varieties that Pacers now have in
repertoire.
their repertoire. Yeah, that's
You
the
know,
word.
he gave a glimpse of that against the New Zealand boys 11.
Yeah, New
I
Zealand
think
high school boys 11. Yeah,
he scored, I think, what, 80 odd or
85,
60 odd.
yeah. Tore
Yeah,
into that bowling attack, absolutely.
yeah.
against the boys 11. But yeah, so that was a start. Yeah.
Um, I, I guess this is the thing. We've always been very critical. We've always talked about how Bangladesh crumbles under pressure. This was a situation of pressure. 58 runs needed, 4 wickets, 3 wickets in hand, um, and to 4 wickets in hand, and to come out of that on top. How much does that, I guess, instill confidence into the team, and especially to Rishad, because now he's done this 2 games back to back where he's put some runs on. Albeit the first one was in a losing cause, but he's put some runs on at the end, and the team can, some of these more established batters can look at him and see, you can still play fearless cricket and play proper shots while playing fearless cricket. You don't have to play the most outrageous shots and get out while doing it, right?
And that's the thing. Like with Bangladesh cricket, we've been lacking this for years now. There have been a lot of games we've lost in better situations than this, by the way. Better
Yeah,
situations than 58 required of 80 balls.
yeah,
Significantly better situations, just because under pressure, under even the slightest of pressure, no
yeah.
one can take that responsibility, or no one can take that positive attitude. No one can say that, okay, Mushfiqur Rahim is batting at the other end. If I get out, he's going to handle it.
And
Let me
yeah,
go after the bowlers for a bit. No,
yeah,
no one can take that mindset. No one can have
no,
that sense of clarity.
yeah,
People are always in this, half-hearted, with their half-hearted approach. People are two-minded, not sure whether they should attack, not sure whether they should defend, and leave everything up to someone like Mushfiqur
like
Rahim on the other end.
yeah,
So
yeah,
this actually creates such a positive energy within the team, I feel.
yeah,
And again, I hope that it's something that's sustainable. We know realistically Rishad is not going to play a 18 ball 48 innings every day, but we
every
just
day.
need
Yeah,
him to hold on to this confidence and hold on to this approach whenever he faces any other team, even in more serious situations, maybe even in the T20 World Cup or the Champions Trophy.
yeah. No, 100%. And you know, as conditions differ, as opponents differ, he will be tested. But these are performances against really good bowlers, really good bowling attacks that are playing, cricket at a very high level. And some of these guys have experiences around the world and different T20 leagues too. And, someone like a Pramod Madhushan, Dilshan Madhushanka, they, they are coming around and they look really good for Sri Lanka cricket going forward. Last point there about Bangladesh, I guess, and the whole series as a general, before I get your final thoughts on the series, is um, second ODI, we lost by 3 wickets. We did not put enough runs on the board, but we also did not have a plan to defend those runs, because it seems like we were always waiting for something to happen. And, Pathum Nisanka and Charita Salanka never gave us anything with that big partnership that they had of, 180 something runs. So yeah, Shagur, I guess um, what can we work on from that aspect, so that, on games like this where you should be putting up 320, but in any case, if you don't, you should be having a plan on how do you defend that uh, 30-40 odd runs that you're short.
Yeah, from 43 for 3, it's just a huge partnership.
Yeah,
So I think that with the how Asalanka plays, he always likes to be on top. He wants to be the aggressor.
yeah,
For sure, we could have created some more chances with him
yeah.
by being, not too conventional. Like, sometimes we are like
We
left arm
push the
bowlers.
field back too early. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like operating left arm bowlers to left hand batsmen is a big no-no, and then
yeah,
giving him free singles to release the pressure. So
yeah,
maybe some of the fielding changes might have been done, some unconventional stuff, funky
yeah,
stuff, when they were stitching, they were in the, initial stages of the big partnership.
yeah,
Something could have been done to unsettle Asalanka. Maybe we were too conventional.
Yeah.
but yeah, it'll get better. Like it will improve over time, I think. So not blaming
That,
Shanto.
yeah, yeah, no, I think, but that I think that's a, you know, problem that we've had for a very long time in our cricket, where when our backs are against the wall, we kind of forget that creative aspect of captaincy. We kind of forget that creative aspect of taking a chance, and sometimes sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't. But these are situations where you kind of have to throw different things at the wall and see what sticks. What can you create a chance out of? And sometimes that is a funky field placement. Sometimes that is a interesting bowling change. Shanta could have bowled himself, maybe.
Sometimes it's bringing on the bowler who defended five, maybe in a BPL last
Yeah,
over.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I have no idea why he was not used in that
Yeah,
big
no,
partnership.
I don't
He's
know.
a
I don't
he's the
know.
partnership breaker, right,
Yeah,
Mahmudullah?
yeah, yeah. You can. Yeah, he has been a partnership breaker for many years, right? Uh, You try one over with him or two overs with him, and he's not bowling the same way that he was bowling 6, 7 years ago. But it's a chance, right? It's a chance. It works. If it doesn't, you look like the culprit. But if it works, you look like you're the best. What's it called? Mastermind out there. I guess final thing, boys. Your final takeaway from the ODI series and what you made out of it. Bangladesh 2-1 win, coming out of that 2-1 loss in the T20s. And before we move on, after you give your final takeaways, we will discuss the other important topic that happened post game.
I'd just like to give it short by saying the age-old problem of not being able to close out games, and throwing away games that are already in our grasp. Like we're talking about the second ODI, right? We
Yeah,
had so many chances to win that game when
yeah.
they were 43 for 3, and still we lost that game.
That's when you have to kill the game, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Also, the third ODI, I would like to say that when we were 6 wickets down, I personally thought it's Sri Lanka's game to lose,
Who's yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
Rishad is a new guy, right?
yeah,
And so there were no more recognized batters out there, and Sri Lanka can put the choke on Bangladesh.
yeah,
So from that kind of a situation, miraculously we won.
yeah,
To be honest, being
yeah.
Bangladesh.
I mean,
So
a 48 out of 18 balls is a miracle,
yeah,
right? Because
so
without that, yeah,
it should have never have come to that point where we were like 6 wickets down for what, like 178, right?
178, yeah.
Like it was like some mind fart, some kind of mind fart from the other batters.
Yeah,
So yeah, for chasing this kind of, like, I would say modest total, because below 250 nowadays should be considered a modest total
yeah, you
anyway,
should
regardless of the
chase
pitch.
it with 7 wickets in
Yeah.
hand, man.
So
Yeah,
yeah, we should learn how to win those kind of games in the
yeah,
future, because in the Champions Trophy or any big sides, they will trample, they will
yeah.
run over us with this kind of
You give them a little
finishing.
bit of hope, they'll take it and they'll run with it.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah.
Rakims.
Rakim, final
No,
thoughts on this?
I mean, it's a good win overall.
Yeah,
And as Shagor said, things got to a point in the third ODI where they really shouldn't have. And it's not, by no means we can say that this is a dominating series win, but
yeah,
it's a well contested series overall. There are things that Bangladesh really need to desperately work on, and one of them is fixing that top order. It's a good thing that Shakib Al Hassan is technically still a very big option for us. He
yeah,
said that he wants to retire in the Champions Trophy, which means that, realistically, he's going to come back and play a few ODIs before that, and we can set up a proper 11 with that. I think
yeah,
there's going to be a lot of discussion surrounding Mahmudullah Riyad once again. The
yeah.
best course of action might be just to keep him around as a backup in the on the
As
bench,
much
because
as, yeah,
and again, we need to get rid of this idea that we cannot bench established cricketers. Like,
hmm.
come on, man, it just doesn't make sense anymore.
Right.
Mahmudullah has shown that he's still good enough to be around the squad. Keep him around the squad. Make a playing 11, pivoting around someone like Shanto, someone like Miraj even, uh,
Yeah,
rather than pivoting it around Shakib, and then
yeah.
use Shakib to fill in
Feeling
whatever
exactly.
batting,
Yeah,
bowling, fielding, leadership, whatever gaping holes you have, because that is something
yes,
Shakib can do exceptionally well,
yeah,
even at this age.
yeah. And that's what it needs to be. This is the time, right? Shakib's done his part of when the team was surrounded around him. Now it's time for him to come and play with that bit of freedom that the team is surrounded around other guys, and he can kind of give his best performance, having a very free mind and no pressure on his shoulders, just playing his best game. Because, like you said, unfortunately, we are probably going to see Shakib in the park for 10, 12 months maybe in international cricket. He might still continue to play T20Is post Champions Trophy, but yeah, that's the way forward for us.
Hindsight is 2020, but that's the biggest mistake we made in 2023 World Cup, trying to initially pivot it around Shakib. On the
Yeah,
other hand, it felt like Hatura was also trying to pivot it around Shanto and Miraj,
Santo
and
Mirage,
in
yeah,
the end, we got nowhere. We
yeah,
absolutely got
yeah,
nowhere.
yeah, yeah, as always.
Just one more thing I'd like to add on the feedback or takeaways from the series is that the good form of not form, I'd say the resurgence of Tanjit Tamim
Yeah,
and the rise of Rishad Hossain.
yeah,
So that's more consolidated. They should have like they have consolidated their position in the team now.
yeah, and this is what you use to give guys chances, right? You see
Yeah.
how they do against other oppositions in different conditions, because if they've scored runs at home, well, they can do it here. Let's see how they can do outside. Well, boys, we gotta discuss this big topic, that helmet celebration. Um, After the T20I series, Nazmul Hossain Shanto, Bangladesh captain, said, "We've moved on from it. Maybe they should move on." Bangladesh wins the ODI series. Mr. Emotional forever. Mushfiqur Rahim strolls out with a helmet, and it doesn't look like a lot of players were really impressed with it. Taskin was hiding his face at the back. Some things were going on in the background there, but yeah, I guess both you guys kind of give your inputs on what you made of that celebration.
Sagar?
It has left the Bangladesh fan base divided, but I'm on the side of like it shouldn't have been done. Once Shanto said they moved on,
Yeah,
if he didn't say anything, then it might have been kind of a revenge for the T20I celebration.
yeah,
So after your captain goes public and says we have moved on, we are not thinking about that, and then
yeah,
bring it up again
yeah,
to digging something out of the hole which has been buried and then restarting a rivalry which should not be there is pretty childish, I'd say. Sorry,
yeah,
Mushfiq, but
yeah.
that was
No,
not it.
and this has been a template for him where he kind of lets his emotions get the better of him in a lot of other
Yeah.
situations in the past. And we'll talk about something else, such as, the kind of legacy these players are leaving for themselves, because there's been another incident in the past 24 hours, which has also left a sour taste, because now it seems like our players are having a lot more off field antics than on field performances.
And there's another incident coming in another seven to
Another
eight hours.
hours. Yes, 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 yes. But yeah, Rakimul, your thoughts on this childish celebration, as Shagor put it.
Again, with both these teams, I was displeased by with what ESPN Quick Info posted about this rivalry
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
way they
yeah.
worded it.
But are we
Unfortunately, the
surprised?
two
Are we
teams ended
surprised
up
that?
proving them right,
Yeah, yeah.
completely right. Unfortunately, look, I am of the opinion I'm fairly indifferent. My point is, if you can dish it, you have to take it, and that
Take
goes
it
to both
exactly.
teams.
Yes,
You
yes.
you can dish it, you have to take it, and
Yeah,
that's fine. Like
yeah,
all that is fine. Is just uh, do you really want that media's negative attention has been on you and has been on both these teams, and when
yeah.
it falls on both these teams, unfortunately Bangladesh have to face the worst brunt of it. If we
Yes,
talk about the overseas, you can't just focus on Bangladesh media. If we talk about the global cricket media, global cricket fan base, unfortunately Bangladesh are seen as
the comics, the
comics,
jokers. Yeah,
the
yeah,
perpetuators in some
yeah,
ways as well. So
yeah,
See, one of the comments I got from this particular comment section is, if you have, I think Alvi was referring to throwing stones and whatnot, but a lot of the fans, all the way back in the first T20I when Shoriful did the timeout celebration, a
Exactly.
lot of the
Yeah.
fans were talking about, Bangladesh having a what you call glass doors or whatever, and
Yeah.
then throwing
Oh
stones.
yeah.
And
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
like the whole point is, it's that's an unfair take
Yeah.
because really this celebration was technically started by Angelo Matthews, but
Yeah.
the whole point is Bangladesh is going to be seen as a perpetuator here. They're going to be seen in a slightly worse way than Sri Lanka always.
Yeah.
If you're ready to accept that, because it's not entirely your fault. So if you're
Yeah.
willing to accept that as a Bangladeshi cricketer, that's
Yeah.
fine.
That's fine.
But
Yeah.
it better not come out as something that it better not come out as us suddenly becoming the victims once things keep
Yeah. Yeah.
exaggerating, once things keep escalating, which inevitably will happen, given that
Yeah.
the T20 World Cup is just a few weeks away at this point, and we
Yeah.
are facing Sri Lanka.
Yeah. And you have to remember these games are happening North America. There will be 34,000 seats available at Dallas Stadium, I think, or maybe 60,000, 50,000, something. There will be a good amount of Bangladeshis, there will be a good amount of Sri Lankan fans, and there will be the odd Pakistani and Indian cricket fan also sneaking in there because they have a point to prove against Bangladesh at every situation possible. And that's the world of North America that we live in. We've all lived here last few years. We all know that situation, how that rolls out. My thing is, if you're gonna become this comic joke persona, then just don't say anything in the public. Don't make your statements. Don't try to be cool. Don't try to be over smart with your statements.
Don't play victim.
Yeah, don't play victim, right? Because if you're like Rakimul said, if you're gonna give it, well, be ready to take it when it comes from the other side, right? Some people were commenting on our post that every action has a reaction and stuff, etc., etc. Well, you guys were the ones that were crying when Sri Lanka was doing the celebration after the third day. In this series, in this context of the series that we're talking about, we started it, right? Like first T20I, Shariful brings out, we started it. So if we want to continue with it, then that's fine. But let's not bring a situation where we start looking like hypocrites. And then, like Rakimul said, the world cricket always gives the brunt of its dose to Bangladesh cricket. Wisden had a post, Fox Cricket had a post, Sky Sports had a post, everyone had a post on Mushfiqur Rahim's celebration. And he's someone who comes with not the best reputation. So, unfortunately, these are things that are starting to pile up. And less than 24 hours ago, another situation has piled up, which is this leaked phone call between what's it called, Tamim Iqbal and Mehdi and Miraj, which you're very obviously is pretty much
Yeah,
proof.
he's actually said he'll go on live today at
Yeah,
7 p.m.
yeah, it's the
Bangladesh
same,
time.
same drama where they'll go on
What's it with
live.
our experienced players getting into all these,
My
childish?
thing is, okay, you guys can tell me. My thing is, what kind of legacy do these guys want to leave on the game? What kind of impression do they want to leave for the future generations in Bangladesh? Because the kind of behaviors we have been seeing from our senior players in the past few years, you can see it has translated to guys like Liton and Shanto, where they're trying to be a little more, savage, you can say, in press conferences. Do we really need that persona coming in through the next 2 3 generations of players? Is that really necessary? We we're starting to see a trend where players are gonna be remembered for the amount of off-field antics that they have rather than the on-field performances. So I mean, what do you guys make of it? Anyone can go.
we don't even know the full context yet. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
makes it a
that's
little
the
more difficult to comment on. But I mean, it's obviously not a leaked phone call. We've heard
yeah.
leaked phone calls before. They're barely audible.
So clear. Starts with hat, Amiraj. Like,
I mean, I wish I could hear you that clearly right now.
yeah,
I with
yeah,
this headset and everything. I can't.
yeah, yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's again, it's just ridiculous. Like players getting into everything. It's okay to have creative, fun advertising campaigns. Come on, they're cricketers. They're gonna be in advertisements. You and I are
Yeah,
not gonna be in advertisements.
no,
But the
yeah,
whole point is, it needs to be tasteful, right?
yes,
That was cheap.
yeah,
That's the definition of cheap.
yeah.
Also, in this month of Ramadan, Mirad said salam to Tamim. He did not respond to that. He he was just going on about his rant against Mushfiq. Did you notice that?
No, I
Which you also
didn't.
shouldn't do in the month of Ramadan.
Yeah, yeah. Don't need to be ranting about someone else to the other person, right?
He's your friend. Say it
Exactly.
on in front of him.
Yeah. So,
Call him and tell him directly.
what's with I guess my question is to Shagor is what's with players taking up these kind of deals and accepting them, and also what's with these companies and coming up with these kind of scripts? Well, like
Well,
with
the company, I won't blame the company too much because they will feed what the audience want to consume.
yeah,
So they will keep on doing these stupid things as long as the audience is not educated enough to avoid these things. But
yeah,
then again, the people doing it like Tamim, I would
yeah,
say Miraj to a lesser extent, but Tamim,
yeah,
I thought he was a sensible guy
yeah,
from the Bangladesh setup. But now I see he's also into these things like cheap tactics
yeah.
to promote himself, or I don't know what. So I don't have anything to comment on this matter because it's just ridiculous.
Anyways, well, we'll see the fallout of the second segment of this pretty soon. By the time we're awake after Seri and everything, we'll probably see the second segment of this. Next thing, boys, PSL final. Imad Wasim single-handedly has won 3 games in a row for Islamabad United. Rakimul, um, obviously a very good final there with it going to the last over. I guess, yeah, you guys both can give a little bit of take on what you kind of made of the tournament. And yeah, I guess Imad Wasim over Mohammad Nawaz.
The hell happened out there? I mean, last I saw, Imad Wasim was averaging 2.8 or something,
Yeah, yeah.
and
And we
then
were laughing about it, and then
he
it
becomes this
just changed.
complete beast. I have always been a firm believer of the fact that in T20s, or maybe even in ODIs as well, Imad Wasim is the better all rounder, the more useful cricketer
Yeah,
than Mohammad Nawaz.
yeah,
And that's not to say Mohammad Nawaz is a bad cricketer, but right now Pakistan needs someone like, peak
yeah,
prime Imad Wasim, and I think
yeah,
we've seen something very close to that. Unfortunately, the problem with Pakistan cricket is not on field. The problem is entirely off field with them having lobbies at this point, basically
yeah, yeah,
uh, conflicts, conflicting teams within teams, and that never helps. We
yeah.
know that Imad doesn't exactly go well
Babar
with
versus
a
Imad.
certain
Yeah,
former captain of Pakistan.
yeah,
You've named him, so I
yeah,
don't have to say anything else. Babar and even Rizwan, I think he doesn't have a good relationship with either of them. And
yeah,
even though they're not captains right now, it's Shaheen who's the captain. But
yeah.
you don't want
And
conflict.
Shaheen didn't have the best tournament either. Lahore
Shine didn't have
didn't
the
make it.
best tournament either as
Yeah,
neither as bowler nor as captain. He had a pretty decent tournament as a batter, which is also weird because
yeah.
Pakistan don't know if he's going to be batting all
And
that high
Danny
up the order.
Morrison was making fun of him throughout the tournament, where he was like, "Oh, uh, Shaheen's a captain now, and he can choose to put himself up the order, down the order, whatever he wants. He's doing as he feels." So yeah,
But all that said, of course, the topic was about Islamabad. I think Islamabad overall have been the most consistent team, not just because of the fact that they won thrice, but because even in seasons when they didn't win, they played consistent, good cricket, and that's been good to see overall. And again, great team. I like how they based the team entirely around Shadab Khan.
Yeah,
when Shabab Khan was still very young,
yeah,
and not a lot of teams would have backed him the way they did. And they are seeing the results of that right now.
yeah.
What was with Imad Wasim smoking cigarette in the mid innings?
Bro,
How? Why?
when you
How
take
was
a
it?
five,
How was it allowed? Maybe
how did the
back to back man of
cigarette
the
make it?
matches. Back
How
of
did
the
the
back.
cigarette make it to the dressing
How
room?
does a
That's
phone make it to Sabiros's lap during a DPL
oh
game?
that is very common in DPL. In DPL, unless you're playing a game at Sherebangla, all anti-corruption procedures go out the door. Everything else goes out the bro. We were It was a first division game. We got there by bus. No one took our phones. No one took anything. We got there by bus. We took our kits. We sat on the side. 90% of the guys were on their phone the whole time. So you can see it's literally like park cricket. Unless you're playing at Sherebangla, where there is a clear indication that no phones allowed past this point, etc., etc., players do whatever the hell they want in all these other grounds. No one can say anything to you. And that's why you see a lot of inside game pictures coming out
But
from
in
players.
PSL, smoking
No,
cigarette
smoking
In the
while
cigarette.
final,
playing
and I mean, it's just crazy.
in the
Props to
final,
the cameraman, by the way.
Props.
inside
Yeah, I mean
competition.
this guy found it, bro. That's crazy. Eagle eyes, man. Talking about lobbying and those things. Usman Khan, he only qualifies as an overseas player now. Did a pretty candid interview where he said he kind of fell out of favor in Pakistan with no lobbying, with no support from big corporations, etc., etc. So now he's gone towards qualifying for UAE. He has a contract with the UAE, which allows him to play multiple T20 leagues around the world, etc., etc. I guess what do you guys make of his tournament, because he was on form throughout the tournament and even got a 50 at the end there.
He was exceptional. Like
Pakistan missing out.
probably because I think he's in a purple patch. He's been scoring runs in the
Yeah,
other franchise leagues as well, but in the PSL he has surpassed everyone with the consistency that he's shown. None other player has shown it
yeah,
apart from Imad Wasim, like in the last 3 games.
yeah.
So yeah, UAE have a good player on their hands unless Pakistan become Pakistan and do something Pakistan, what only Pakistan can do and take him
Um,
back in this lineup for the T20 World Cup or
well,
something.
he did say that for him to come back to Pakistan, he would need guarantees that he would get some opportunity in the domestic circuit there. So, and I think it's a very fair ask for someone who will essentially have to give up a contract right now that he has with a different cricket board. If you want him to come and play for you, well, he needs some guarantee that he's going to get some chances because, well, he's batted better than half the local guys in your country. So, um, I guess last bit there is any chance Mohammad Amir and Imad Wasim come back into the national team?
Not Mohammad
Mohammad
Amir.
Amir, no.
Mohammad Amir's ship has sailed.
Yeah, Mohammad Amir gone. Imad Wasim, Pakistan need to have a strong management and unbiased management to bring Imad back based on his performances, which isn't going to happen.
Yeah,
So no Imad Wasim.
and especially because their president and this that changes every 3 months depending on who the army wants on her.
Forget Imad Wasim smoking. What is always happening around Sabir Hossain Sagar? It is
Yeah, yeah.
unreal.
There's balls flying around. There's guys walking around. There's so much going on. There's too much going on, and like there's people
There's
playing
literally
cricket
a
in the
game of
house.
cricket going on
No,
behind
these
them.
guys playing cricket. Look at this.
It is a mess. It's not a house. It's a
It's a
mess.
JaaTaa.
It's JaaTaa. Last bit, boys. Afghanistan, Ireland. There was a series there, T20I series. Um, Sabir Hossain Sagar, he wanted to address some umpiring issues that were there in the
Yeah,
series.
so I
Please
was
take it away.
yeah, so I was actually watching the game and also like following the highlights for the whole series.
Yeah,
The umpiring looked to be 100% biased, like biased as in not like the naked LBW is not giving is not that. But then there were two no balls from Ireland, which
Yeah.
were not even close to being no balls. One in the
Yeah.
first T20, one in the third T20,
And
which
these are
might have caused
umpires. These are on-field umpires calling it,
the
or is it
on-field
third
umpires.
umpire?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, on-field umpires. So
Yeah.
I don't know, for some reason, I'm not sure the on-field umpires were calling for no
Yeah.
balls.
So
So, and all the four umpires, first to fourth umpire, all of them were Afghan
mm,
umpires.
yeah.
And also, I forgot to mention one dismissal on Andy Balbirnie, most likely in the second T20 international.
Yeah.
He was batting well. He was on
Yeah.
50 plus,
Yeah.
and he was sweeping a ball.
Yeah.
The ball hit his glove and hit the pad then.
Yeah.
The umpire instantly gave it out. But you know the crazy part? The
What?
crazy part is and Balbirnie was mad, right?
Yeah.
Balbirnie was like, I hit it, man, I hit it.
Yeah.
And very reluctantly he went. He
Yeah.
went away. He was docked, I think, 50% of his match fee as well.
Yeah. For showing
But then
dissent. Yeah.
the interesting part is the replay showed it clearly hit the glove and deflected into the pad. There was deflection. Like you could see the deflection.
Yeah.
So that's
No.
how bad the umpiring was. And that was a crucial moment in the game because Balbirnie was the only remaining recognized batsman.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was visibly mad. So I think, yeah, it's
Yeah. Because
crazy.
they only lost by what, 10 runs there in that game, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Crazy hitting by Garrett Delaney, the leg
Gareth
spinner.
Delaney, yeah, last at 39 of 18, 38 of 18, something like that.
The
Yeah,
return
brought
of
them
Rashid
back.
Khan,
Return of Nangelia Karoti
a
also
rise
looks,
of, the
yeah,
emergence of Karote.
yeah. I guess, Rakimul, world cricket and umpiring, there's a lot left to be desired. The umpiring standards have really fallen off around the world, and it seems like there is a clear theme, especially like Shagor mentioned, while we were talking off air, is some of these games, T20Is, you're allowed home umpires. But if home umpires are causing such bias calls, it will get to a position where people will start retaliating. And Joel Wilson is a big example of umpires who are not up to the mark. And now we've got these umpires. So, what is the way forward for us to, or for the ICC to kind of mitigate this issue with umpires?
I mean, it's been happening for a while now. Kumar Dharmasena was also a pretty good example of
Yeah,
an elite panel umpire underperforming basically time and again. And
yeah,
this has been going on for a while, so it's a genuine concern. A, I guess the courses in every single associate and full member nation need to be
hmm,
reviewed again, I think.
yeah, yeah,
And you have to start from the root level. You have to start from the grassroots. You have to standardize them a bit more.
yeah,
One thing about a lot of ICC courses, umpiring, coaching, and everything else, they're not as well standardized. Sometimes that's why they don't work. Like a
yeah,
coaching course in Australia doesn't guarantee you uh, a coaching license in the UK. These
yeah,
things aren't
mm,
always interchangeable. That's because they're not well standardized. I think
yeah,
it absolutely needs to be standardized properly because, again, if you're umpiring in the UK versus if you're umpiring in Bangladesh, the rules are the same.
yeah,
You should be held at the same standard. I know that you cannot be tested at the same standard necessarily, but
yeah,
these things, again, you need to sort them out.
yeah,
And what metric are you using once the umpires make it at the highest level? What metric are you using to determine whether they qualify for the elite panel, whether they qualify for regular international matches or not? You
yeah,
have to come up with a better verification method for that. Because
yeah,
otherwise, on field, there's only so much you can do. Once you promote that umpire, and once
yeah,
they keep making those mistakes, again, you can't go back. You can't permanently suspend them because that's it. That's their career right there. And
yeah,
that's gonna it sounds wrong because we're talking about being strict with umpires and everything. But if we do that, then all of a sudden people are not going to have any incentive to become umpires. Someone like
correct.
Sabir Hossain Sagor right here wants to be an umpire, right? But he's
Yeah,
also a human. We know how capable he is, but again, he's human. He could make
yeah,
a mistake on a big day when he gets to go to the highest level, which
yeah,
he eventually goes to. He makes a mistake and bam, that costs him his career. What
yeah,
incentive would he have if that were the case? But that's not how it
yeah.
works,
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to be better at monitoring this. You have to be better at reprimanding them. And you
Yeah.
have to be better at setting up a system that's more standardized to help them develop into the best possible umpires they can be.
And I think the biggest thing is you have to identify when is it a human error versus when is it conscious biasness. That's the main thing, because human error, okay, acceptable, but conscious biasness is not acceptable, because at that point we reprimand players for match fixing, spot fixing. That's pretty close to it.
I think
That is it,
to
right?
mitigate some of that in the T20 international series, there should be a neutral umpire. I know that it's difficult sometimes, but if
With the
incidents,
amount of cricket going on these days,
yeah,
and now there's also a Scottish T10 that's coming up, so good luck with that.
yeah, but with incidents like this, if I was in the Ireland camp, I would not be happy at all with the umpiring this series.
Yeah.
So yeah, all four umpires were Afghan, and very clearly they were biased in their decisions.
Also, UAE has become such a cricketing hub. It's also very, geographically conveniently located. How can you
Hmm.
not get a neutral umpire there?
No,
It's
Exactly. Yeah.
they're UAE umpires, man. They're umpires from the UAE, international umpires, but they did not, as it's a home game for Afghanistan. They
They are
obviously,
employed Afghanistan.
yeah,
You see,
all
like,
the
no good,
ICC has to
no
change
good.
the rule that
Yeah,
it
they
has to
have
be
to.
neutral. Yeah.
Yeah. Last thing, because we're on the topic of Afghanistan and Ireland, is Cricket Australia has once again postponed their series against Ireland. Uh, Apparently, they can face Ireland at the World Cup. Apparently, they can sign Afghan players. I mean, they can play Afghanistan at the
case
World Cup.
Afghanistan.
They can sign Afghan players for the BBL. But when it comes to a bilateral series, they can't play them anymore because, oh, the people in power in Afghanistan are not allowing the women to play cricket. What do you guys take on this? Because Cricket Australia has been known to be a hypocrite for a long time, and they tried to get out of a series versus Bangladesh. Um, but yeah, I mean, what do you guys make of it?
Yeah, Australia have a history of neglecting the developing nations. Like, I don't know, world politics might as well be, but cricket for sure. Like, they undermine them a lot. They don't invite them to their shores, and Bangladesh has been a prime victim of it. I don't
Yeah,
know when the last time Bangladesh went there, and I don't think they ever.
2006, 2007,
And
Seven,
that
eight, I think eight
seven,
was the
eight,
last
matches
time.
yeah,
were
seven,
held
eight.
by Darwin, I think, in some
Yeah,
remote.
Darwin. Yeah, Darwin. Yeah,
I don't think which hosts men's internationals for a long, long time. Maybe some
yeah,
women's games.
yeah,
And then, yeah, Afghanistan, they're being hypocrites, to be honest.
yeah,
They're playing them in the international scene, bilateral, they won't play.
yeah.
So, yeah,
When it favors them,
they'll
it's
do it.
fine. Yeah, they'll do it, and when it doesn't, they won't do it.
Yeah. I would have been very interested to see what they would have done if, like, India had some case of,
Yeah,
not allowing their women. How would they have reacted to this? Because they
exactly.
generate a lot of revenue.
Yeah,
So, yeah, even Pakistan. Pakistan
exactly.
has a lot of issues relating to that kind of things, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
not giving proper
Women's
justice or
rights.
freedom
Yeah,
to women. Yeah, but
yeah,
they play them every time.
yeah,
They invite them because
yeah,
they get revenue and they have the community there, I think.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Rakimal?
Let me play devil's advocate here and say that, they could easily say that Pakistan do have a solid women's team, and Pakistan have a fully established proper women's team that's going on right now. That's been going on
Mm-hmm.
for a while now. And with Afghanistan, we know that there is a much bigger systematic problem,
Yeah,
and this is Australia's version of something we've seen, something we've participated in a lot in the last few months, which is their version of boycott,
mm-hmm.
basically. And
Yeah,
it's a question of what they can afford to boycott versus what they can't. And that is me playing devil's advocate here
yeah,
again.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is me saying that this is the message that Australia is trying to send. In
yeah,
a weird way, they might even be bullying Afghanistan into making the right choice.
yeah.
or at least what they see as the right
Right
choice.
choice. Yeah.
Now the question is, will the ACB ever give in?
No.
Because for them, cricket is just a sport. For them, cricket
Yeah.
is not that big, and they're not going to
No.
change such a massive policy.
They don't even play at home.
They don't.
Like, right. Like, so for them, it doesn't matter.
It really,
They don't
really
care
doesn't
what
matter.
the CA is doing.
It's just a minor
Yeah.
inconvenience for them.
Yeah.
It's the players who are getting affected. That's the
Exactly.
issue. So
Yeah.
that's where Australia, you know, what do you do? Do you draw the line and do you say that, okay, no, the players are getting affected, we might as well have a series, and then we find a better way to convey our message, or do we stick to this and hope that the ACB eventually gives in or something? Because it feels like it's going nowhere.
Yeah.
Australia's point, if you really think about it, Australia's point from their perspective especially is valid.
Yeah.
But from
Yeah.
Afghanistan's perspective, that's not a
They
point at
can't.
all.
They can't do anything about it.
They can't
Exactly.
do anything about it.
Like they don't have any leverage with the government. They don't have any leverage
It's
with
a
the
classic situation
board.
where no one really wins. We think that
Yeah.
Australia are benefiting from this. Well, not really. And they
Yeah.
are trying to make a point here. They're trying to make a solid point here, which some of us can get behind sometimes, but
Yeah.
it doesn't help. It also
Yeah.
doesn't help. Like it doesn't go anywhere. The
Yeah.
ACB, you can't expect the ACB to change one of their core policies or go against the actual ruling government and go against what majority of people in Afghanistan actually want to do just
Yeah.
because Cricket Australia feels a different way, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, boys, uh, it's been a interesting final episode on JaaTaa, but it's been a pleasure doing this. We came up with this on a whim, on one random day, right after the World Cup, because we'd gathered some good motivation doing it every day during the World Cup. It's been a pleasure, obviously, having you guys on here week in, week out. And it's been a pleasure having people watch us, comment on our videos. Hopefully, it helps us grow a lot more than where we are at the moment. That's always the eventual goal. But I mean, for us, it's always been about putting out quality content over quantity. Um, we always want to make sure we're getting the right message and our right inputs and our right insights across through our videos. So, Shagor, Rakimul, thanks a lot. This is the season finale for JaaTaa. Any last words for everyone?
Uh, just that it was great doing these weekly shows and recapping the cricketing world, what's happening inside the field, outside the field, and it was. Uh, I'm grateful to you guys for having me for all these weeks, for bearing with my shenanigans as it's going right now, as well as you can see on my back. But yeah, seriously, it was very good to be a part of Tagada Does JaaTaa. Looking forward for more collaborations.
IPL vibes are coming, so it's
IPL
not like
vibes
we're
coming,
done. Yeah.
and yeah, Bangladesh.
Bangladesh Test Series, yeah. So there's things on the
And the
horizon.
Navin dances may be returning.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
lots to look forward to. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Can you imagine 10 days of this, basically?
Oh my God.
That'll be wild.
You're very optimistic that there
That
will be
it's gonna go in 10 days.
No Mirpur test. So there's a solid chance.
what's
It's
happening.
No Mirpur test. So there's a solid chance that we get 10 days of cricket.
yeah. It's not gonna be done in 3 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but Chagor, thank you very much. You've been an integral part of JaaTaa. We diss you a lot when you miss
Yeah.
episodes
Any
because
chance we get. Yeah.
any chance we get, but because we do that because you're such an integral part of the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
But anyways, the show must go on, and we're obviously going to be back very soon. And we're going to be back with the IPL. We're going to be back with the Test series. All that is going to be even more wild, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
All in all, we are just some blokes, us, three of us, Alvi, sometimes Samin, whoever joins. We're just blokes who like to talk about cricket. We would do that anyway. We just want
Yeah.
to share our shenanigans with you guys.
Yeah.
That's all. That's what we're here for, right? We're not here as professionals. We're just here to have fun.
Yeah.
And whoever's watching, again, thank you very much.
Yeah, it
And
means a lot.
do go to our Facebook page.
Oops.
Do go over to our Facebook page because more shenanigans take place over there.
Yeah,
Inevitably. Like
inevitably.
sometimes we're not even trying. We
Yeah.
genuinely aren't.
And then and the comment section is flooded, and there's a lot more happening than we expect.
Sometimes we make good posts and decent posts appreciating someone, and then people don't care. It's like five people see it, and no one else cares.
It goes on a different tangent. Yeah.
And other days, it's just wild out there,
Yeah. Yeah. So
right?
it's a very interesting world of Bangladesh cricket that we live in. But yeah, thank you, boys, and thank you, everyone. Please, yeah, obviously subscribe to our YouTube channel and spread the word of Bagradda. That's what we can always ask from you, is keep spreading the channel, keep spreading our platform out there to everyone in your circles, and we shall be back with more. And obviously, Ramadan Mubarak again to everyone. Take care. See you soon.
Goodbye.